so that they didn't run afoul of Hamas or Fatah.
The United Nations is over there, and they are playing roles such as helping to bring relief supplies into Gaza. They run schools there. What are some of the things that you observe the UN might contribute that they're not doing now, or what are some of the things that they're doing that maybe people aren't aware of?
Gaza is the only country that the UN is in which they're basically prisoners within the country. They can move in and out of Gaza relatively freely if they're international. If they're Gazans and they work for the UN, it's very difficult for them to get out of Gaza. In any event, UNDP is there and funding projects. UNRWA is there and funding projects and working with the educational system. But it's all very difficult for them because of the lack of supplies. So in terms of what the UN can do, it's doing as much as it can, but it needs really more cooperation from Israel and from Hamas and Fatah to be allowed to do even more. They're as caught up within the political issues as the common person.
Besides being a neurosurgeon, Don is also a licensed mediator, and he put his mediation skills to good use. And one of your logs, I was struck by some signs of hope that you mentioned in meeting with a group promoting the culture of dialogue, reconciliation, and national unity among male and female university students in Gaza, a group funded by the UN Development Program and the Carter Center. Tell us about this group and how you assisted them and organizational issues and conflict resolution.
People in the United States are used to rivalry between universities, such as in Florida, Florida State, Florida, Ohio State, Michigan, but the two major universities in Gaza, Islamic University for Gaza and Al-Azhar for Fatah, really carry it to another level. While Islamic University is quick to point out where Israel bombed their communications, their computer centers and science centers during the 2008-2009 brief war, they don't point out where Fatah has firebombed buildings and broken windows. Similarly, at Fatah University, there's firebombing and broken windows. In any event, there is a group called Sharek, who, as you said, is funded by UNDP and the Carter Foundation, and they are working with student leaders at both universities to bring them together so that they can look at each other, talk to each other, and work together on common problems and to work at that level, and that's a very important project.
It sounds pretty exciting, and I noticed one of your logs you mentioned meeting with 3 women who shared the difficulty in functioning in an environment where they're trying to navigate with the conflict between Fatah and Hamas, where they're worried about bombings from Israel, and then they're living in an occupied territory, all these things at once, and yet they were asking for insight from you as leaders on how to deal with stress, how to deal with stress management. How do you work with that kind of condition and situation? What are your insights of what they can do?
Yes, within Gaza, the issue is what they call the siege. Within the West Bank, it's more of an occupation by the settlers, but within Gaza and the siege, and they have all the problems that you just so eloquently pointed out, but the issue is effective living, under those circumstances, and it just is so demanding that people understand that their control ends at their fingertips, what they control, what they can't control, and how they can keep a positive attitude while everything around them seems to be falling apart. The people, to teach people to handle stress in that situation, you have to individualize, you have to give them point out to them their inner strengths and what they can do to mold their own lives on a daily basis, and then how they can work together in groups and in organizations. What's really needed over there are individual coaches and mentors for leaders, and there's a great need for psychiatric intervention at many levels.
I was struck also, Don, in one of your logs you mentioned how the people were really searching out ways to better deal with conflict. And you had one meeting with representatives of the Community Health Board, the Agricultural Committee, a Palestinian NGO, all wanting better leadership skills in dealing with conflict and coming to you. What did you provide? Share a little bit about that story and what you were able to do for them.
Well, when I discuss leadership issues, I discuss the issues of the need for integrity and courage within the leader, but also the core competencies of being able to negotiate and mediate critical issues. The main job of a leader is to build relationships, and the destructive relationships that are present in Gaza, and as I said, there's a political structure, and then there's everybody else. And within everybody else is the NGOs and people trying to help each other. The people who are high up in politics, as usual, are doing very well. It's everybody else that has problems. So I have to teach them about leadership, what they can control and can't control, and working within their groups. How do you handle these complicated and difficult conversations, and how do you figure out where the limits are and what you can ask for and what you can demand?
One particular message in your log really caught my attention when you said you attended a meeting that was one of the most important meetings in your entire life, dealing with conflict and water issues. Tell us about that meeting and why that was so significant for you.
Well, water is the major problem. Nobody can drink the water. Everything is bottled water, and certainly every home is challenged in terms of having adequate nutrition and adequate water. There's a significant refugee population within Gaza. Gaza has one of the most densely populated areas on Earth. It has 1.4 million people in 140 square miles. There's a high degree of unemployment. Some people say it borders on almost 100%. So, and education is difficult, which leads to problems in the future. But in any event, this particular meeting, when you deal with the people who are trying to cope and trying to make things better with water, the reason it was so important is that they were so needy in terms of things I could offer. They were appreciative of what I could offer, and it was their sense telling me, and I've been invited back, how important such outside help is, because they're so caught up within the issues. One of the things they pointed out is their usual conflict management and stress management sources within Gaza after the war were of no help, because those people had the same set of stresses and issues that they had. So it's really important for outside people to somehow get involved through the UN or through various organizations to try to help these people cope until a better situation comes about.